focus on the Bucks.
You don't like having a second chance if you don't win that game?
I'm not sure. I didn't know that or know what that is. We want to go 1-0.
All right, well, here's something of note for Saturday. Bucks QB Baker Mayfield popping up on the injury report today. The team citing his knee and his throwing shoulder. Mayfield previously dealt with an injury to his non-throwing shoulder. He'll play, but that is something to monitor on Saturday afternoon. Big game, and we've got you covered. We'll have nightly breakdowns of the matchup on WCNC Plus at 9 o'clock, including tonight. Our Danielle Stein will also be in Tampa to provide coverage beginning Friday, both on air and on WCNC Plus. Well, it won't be long until Panthers fans are ringing out their patented Luke chant in Canton. But could it be this summer? The legendary linebacker, a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is his second year of eligibility, and he's actually an automatic finalist since he finished in the top 7 last year and wasn't selected. Unfortunately, Steve Smith Sr. will have to wait at least one more year. He is not among the finalists. It is Mayo Bowl week, and we love this part of it, the player racing experience at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Those are players from Wake Forest and Mississippi State hitting speeds of 160 miles per hour, I think in the passenger seat, hopefully. The Mayo Bowl is Friday night at Bank of America Stadium. Well, the Hornets lost a tough game to the Bucks last night, but good news here. Con Knippel may return tomorrow. Knippel spraining his ankle Friday against the Magic. He might just miss one game. He's listed as probable. Charlotte hosting Steph Curry and Golden State tomorrow afternoon. And Steph has arrived in town here in Charlotte. He's going to make his way up to Davidson College tonight for a big ceremony.
Ooh.
We'll have more on that at 11 o'clock in our streaming show.
You can check out his exit too, maybe?
Yeah, his exit 30. It's official now.
Get a picture with his thumb up maybe next
Yep.
to it. All right, guys. Looking forward. And don't forget, we have the Panthers preview special tonight at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, yep.
Can't wait for that. And then obviously at 6:30, we do have our Weather Impact stream and the news from 7 to 9. But our 11 o'clock show will be over on WCNC Plus tonight at 11 o'clock.
Hi, everyone, and happy Tuesday. And let me welcome you to Live Weather Impact here on WCNC Plus. I am meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees. If you missed us yesterday, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich has the week off. He's skiing, maybe snowboarding, I don't really know, with the wife and kids. So hopefully he has a great time. But we have other folks who are skiing and snowboarding, maybe a little bit closer to home to go to. This is a live look here at Beech Mountain. As we know, some of our resort cameras sometimes will go in and out, kind of ebb and flow. Maybe it's connectivity, maybe it's just technology in general, but there you go. You can see a great day, I think, for folks who like to ski and snowboard. Personally, myself, my dad tried to teach me how to water ski for years and years. I could not get up no matter what he tried, so I will not be trying my hand at regular skiing. But if you are someone who enjoys it, Jeb, this is just the truth. We got to talk about the truth of the matter. Sorry, microphone. So if you are someone who enjoys it, today probably a good day to go to Beech and Sugar Mountain. Now, temperatures there are a lot colder than here, of course, in Charlotte. Right now it's at 40 degrees here in the Queen City. We only got into the upper 40s this afternoon. But I haven't seen Boone and Jefferson get out of the 20s today. But I do want to remind people that Boone and Jefferson, those are specific sensors at places near App State and, of course, up in parts of Ashe County. That does not include 3,500 feet and above. You know where I'm talking about. Blowing Rock, Banner Elk, Beech Mountain, Sugar Mountain, and, of course, the elusive Grandfather Mountain, which we went over some of that data yesterday with Tim Buckley. So if it's 22 in Boone right now in Jefferson, it's probably closer to about 15 or so up in places like Beech and Sugar Mountain, which also means something else is lower. The wind chills. Right now it's 11 in Boone for it feels like 10 in Jefferson, but probably closer to 0 for those areas I just showed you. Thankfully here in Charlotte, we're not nearly that cold, and it's pretty rare to get that cold here in the Queen City. We're at 37 right now in Charlotte, with again the actual air temperature being closer to 40. As we go for the hourly forecast this evening, you can see we have a pretty steep drop off to near 27 for an overnight low. This is really semantics, honestly, but you know, us meteorologists, we're all about data. Tonight is going to be not as cold as this morning. And if you have a thermometer and you're thinking, well, Brittany, technically 27 is lower than where I was this morning, it's not the temperature. It's the wind chill. I know you've heard that before. With lighter winds tonight, the wind chill is not going to be quite as low. So our low this morning was right around 29, but our feels like it was closer to 20, thankfully. It's not going to be the case as we enter the overnight hours. So 27 in Charlotte, teens and lower 20s up in the mountains. Again, a lighter wind. So we know that the forecast tonight is going to be chilly, but not quite as chilly as we were this morning. But what about the afternoon? The elusive afternoon forecast on Christmas Eve, or not Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. Does anybody really care about what it is in the afternoon on New Year's Eve? Jeb, you might have to answer this.
I would like to think, maybe you're getting ready to go for a little walk. You want to get some fresh air before your festivities, maybe. That could be out there.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So a high temperature of 53. I guess for us, we're going to be working, so different.
We will be working. We will be here.
Yeah.
Tune in, Live Impact News.
Yeah,
We'll
Live Impact News. We'll be here before you go out for your festivities. So I don't know if 53, again, for your New Year's Eve day forecast is as important as what the evening is going to be. Most of the evening, upper 30s, lower 40s with a slight wind chill. So if you remember back on Halloween, now it wasn't this cold, but still, we talked a lot about adding layers to your costumes. Now that was mostly for the kids, I guess, maybe for the adults too. I think it's going to be a similar thing. Maybe some tights for the ladies, maybe a jacket, maybe a beanie. I mean, what can go wrong, right, by adding a little hat? Our director, Sean, who sometimes helps out with Live Weather Impact during the newscast, said, well, I hope you're going somewhere with a coat check, because I'll be really warm if I have to wear my jacket inside. To which I said, I guess you got to go to a fancy place with a coat check. I don't really know what else to tell you. Or someone's house where, your friends let you just, drape your coats on, their bed, in their guest room. Whatever it is. Regardless, again, as I mentioned, Jeb and I will be here. So hopefully you'll join us before you get out and about. 34, that's the morning lows. We kick off a new year. Hard to believe that in just 2 days it'll be 2026. But New Year's Day also features a really nice afternoon forecast. 58, sunshine. So if you're off, it'll be a nice day to get outside. So here's that countdown to the new year. I just went with what the midnight temperature is going to be. I have the hour by hour over on our website, WCNC.com. But we care about the weather when the ball is dropping. 40 and 35 for a feels like temperature. Jeb, did you see Chris's thing that he posted on Instagram about the weird thing that he accidentally
Yes,
said?
and I loved it.
Yeah, it's so funny. You guys, if you don't follow Chris Mulcahy on Instagram, you should. He just made a silly comment about the New Year's ball drop that just sounded a little bit silly, but we're not going to repeat it on here because I, one, am a female, and two, you can just go look at it on Mulcahy's Instagram. But again, 40 degrees, y'all, at midnight. Feels like temperatures at 35. It is going to be chilly, but overall, not a bad forecast. Could be worse. We could be dealing with bitter, terrible cold. We could also be dealing with rain. Now, we might be dealing with some rain by this time on Friday. However, as you guys typically know, a lot of model trends can shift back and forth, up and down. And that's kind of what we've seen with the latest Futurecast with Friday and Saturday's rain chances. The low pressure system hasn't quite developed yet. And so as it's moving across the country the next few days, we'll continue to watch these trends, but pretty substantially trending southward. This is what I want us to be prepared for. A low pressure system comes in Friday night into Saturday. Whether we see rain or not, it's likely going to be one of those cold air damming wedge setups, even if it's not technically a wedge, but with cloudy sky conditions, a little bit cooler, and rain likely just south of us. So as you can tell here, the latest model shows rain in Columbia, but maybe not in Lancaster County. Well, just a couple miles further north, again, we'd be seeing rain here locally. So I want us to prepare for the chance of rain Friday night, Saturday morning, mainly south of Charlotte. But again, a lot can change, as we know, between now and then. Right now, I'm cautiously optimistic because Friday is the Duke's Mayo Bowl here in Charlotte. Go Dogs. Hail State. If you guys didn't know, I went to Mississippi State for grad school, so sorry, Wake Forest people. I try to be loyal to the Carolinas when I can, but my team is in town. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock. Because of that small chance of rain, I'm adding in that 20% chance of a brief shower, but for the most part, it's actually going to be pretty comfortable, 40s and 50s, but because of that incoming potential for rain, even if it's south of us and cloud cover, will actually allow for a little bit of humidity. So again, it could be a lot worse. Here's that Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. So there's all of the festivities you see there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's those clouds on Friday. You can't see the 20% chance of rain I put in Friday night because Friday night technically doesn't pop up on our 7-day, but it is on our app. So hopefully you have that WCNC Charlotte weather app downloaded. Rain again off and on for the majority of Saturday morning. Brief cool down Saturday afternoon before we're actually soaring into the 60s by this time next week. I didn't get to show it during any of our newscasts because we had so much stuff to talk about. So here you go. Here's a little preview of that 10-day forecast. We'll stay in the 60s for a few days, but it looks like we trend eventually back to near average for this time of year by next Friday, which is also, and when I say next Friday, I don't mean the 2nd, I mean the 9th, which will also be the next home game for the Charlotte Checkers. So it won't matter if it's raining or not because you'll be inside. Also, go Checkers because I went to their game last weekend where they won in overtime and it was so much fun. So we love the Checkers. Anyway, folks, we're going to go to a 2-minute break, and then after that, we'll be back with Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley from WFMY to talk more winter weather, New Year's, all that good stuff. And of course, he and I will be together all week. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Weather Impact. I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees, joined by the one, the only Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley from WFMY. Tim, over under, how much football are we talking today?
Under yesterday. I think we're not talking all that much. We could go.
Oh, perfect.
What is it? Music City Bowl. We have the Mayo Bowl, though. That maybe we could talk about the Mayo Bowl. You can give us the Mayo forecast.
All right. You want to do that now before we get into December temperature swings?
Well, we can do that right away. If you're feeling Mayo, we can go right to it. So what's the matchup? What's the forecast looking like?
First of all, the matchup is the one, the only, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Hail State against Wake Forest. Sorry, Wake Forest people. I'm just disappointed in the Carolinas all across the board this week with the people I'm cheering for. But if you guys don't know, Mississippi State, my alma mater, where I got my master's degree. So it's all about the Bulldogs in my brain. I'm keeping it a 20% chance of rain, Tim, even though we have that system that's passing south of us, and it looks like we're not going to see a lot of rain, but I kept the 20% in because it looks like we could be a little bit cloudy and a bit drizzly, but 40s and 50s, and it actually will be a little bit humid because of that storm system passing south of us, so not the worst forecast you've ever seen for a football game. And of course, it's rainy in Mississippi oftentimes. It's rainy in the Carolinas this time of year, so they'll both be used to a little bit of drizzle. So not too shabby of a forecast. Could be better, could be worse.
Of course, if there's a 20% chance of rain, there's also an 80% chance that it doesn't rain, and I think that would be fine for a lot of the fans to not.
I think it's
not
100%
get cold and wet
chance
like
of
it was
cloud
for the
cover,
Panther
though.
game.
Oh yeah, that was miserable.
Yeah.
I think there's still a 100% chance
But
of cloud
hey,
cover. But
You're talking about January weather here. 8 o'clock kick. Usually that would mean freezing, like you're just super cold. 50 degrees is very, very okay.
Yeah.
So that should mean if you're a Wake fan, and I'll stand up for the Wake fans here in the Great Triad area, all the Winston-Salem brethren going down to Charlotte for the game. Don't be too scared of the cold. You can get in there probably and have a good time, and we'll see who gets the Mayo bath. That Mayo bath always scares me a little bit when they dunk the winning coach, in just gallons of mayonnaise. That's something that really scares me a lot, I have to say.
like personally, you don't want to be dunked in mayo?
No, I really, really don't.
So do you
think
like
that's
mayonnaise?
Just scary. I kind of avoid it. It's not something I tend to use a lot. So that's kind of like one of my ick foods that most people love, and for me, it's just like for some reason it's never worked for me. So
I actually also don't care for mayo, so I was just wondering because I've very frequently, as you know, well, I'm really picky. We've already learned this on the show, but very infrequently do I meet a friend who's like, not like you're weird when I say that I don't care for mayo.
Yeah.
I will say though, for the people who love mayo, I hear Duke's is the best. So
It's
got that twang, and you know, the marketing too. Jeb says it's the best. Is that what he
Jeb says it's the best.
I like Duke's. I've never been a mayo person for my entire life, but I tried it during the Duke's Mayo Classic earlier, between I think it was App State and UNC Charlotte football. I liked it a lot. They did a nice job. They converted me. I'm not dumping gallons on myself, but
I guess if you dunk yourself though, that means you don't have to eat it.
right.
So.
Oh, I can't. I'm with you on that, Tim. I think it's the grossest tradition in sports.
But I still watch it. I watch them do it because it's good television. So we'll do that again on Friday.
It is good TV.
Should we dunk ourselves in mayo on Live Weather Impact? Tim is like, no. Tim, I hope that your mom is watching because I know she always says how funny we are together, and so I hope she's watching and laughing at home.
I think we could dunk ourselves in Diet Coke based on what we text about a lot. That might be working.
You know it.
There it is.
All right,
With a straw,
hashtag
no
not an
less.
ad. Well, yeah, the straw is so that my teeth don't stain, but different story for a different day. So today, coldest day of the week, right?
Yes.
20s this morning for us, 40s this afternoon. What about y'all?
Yeah, so, you know, kind of interesting for us, we only got up to 39. So for us, it has been a cold afternoon. Pop this up. This is just for Greensboro, okay? So it's not for everybody, but the story is the same for Charlotte, and I know Brad put up a graphic about this as well that we could pop up later. But we've had 4 days this month, Brittany, that have only been in the 30s. That big cold spell earlier in the month on the 8th and the 9th, then the 15th, and then again for today. below 40 degrees. But this the weird part about December has been about half the month really, really cold. I mean, we got off to like a 9-degree below average start for the month of December. And then around Christmas, we got so warm. It almost evened out, but at least here, we're still trending, or we're still overall cooler than average for the month of December. But it's very strange how it worked out almost 50-50 with the number of days above average and then the number of days below average. It's always interesting when you see it work out that way.
Yeah, and I think Jeb has Brad's graph that he posted, which is similar. You can again see the comparison. 15 days below average. That's blocked by the lower third, but no worries. Of course, I can just tell you. 15 days below average, thanks, Jeb. And then 13 days above. So again, pretty on average. In fact, I just looked at our average monthly temperature, and this is both highs and lows, Tim, and it's 0.4 warmer. And I would guess that a lot of that has to do with the fact that we had 79, 77, and 78 in the same week, whereas you guys obviously did not almost get to 80 degrees like we did. So I'm sure that those 79, 78, 77 certainly added too. But I mean, 0.4 for a departure from normal when it's been so cold is pretty surprising. What I did think was surprising and interesting, and I guess I don't have a graphic to show this because how would I, but I was looking at the data for New Year's in Charlotte, and our warmest New Year's on record is 2022 at 78. That was the same year that we were 9 degrees on Christmas Eve. Remember, that was that really, really cold snap right around the Christmas.
Goodness.
So it is interesting that you can have those big temperature swings in basically just a week, but I think we proved it with some of those numbers.
Wow, so that's really, we're basically the opposite this time around, right? Maybe not quite as extreme, but going from the 70s to near 80 all the way back toward the colder side of things. That's a really fascinating stat. So, yeah, I guess we can do a little bit of everything anytime here in the Carolinas that we want to. But this December has definitely been unusual. It's maybe been enjoyable if you like warmer weather at times. The cold weather fans should have something to celebrate also. But kind of the odd part about that is that we've been playing these extremes on both sides, and now you look ahead in the next 7 days, we're basically going to be pretty close to average almost all of the next 7 days.
Yeah, I'm really excited though to be closer to 62 by next Friday. That does look really, or next Tuesday, whatever it is. That does look really nice. But yeah, I mean, we have these spells. I think it was interesting. We were talking about this briefly with our anchors during the newscast because Colin, our anchor that you've seen here on WCNC Plus, asked about whether or not, like with La Nina, right? Like, can we still get cold snaps? Because it seemed like people on social media were like, oh, December's over, we're not going to see any more cold snaps. And so I brought up the fact that at least for Charlotte, our coldest time of the year is like January 10th through the 17th. That's what we like classify as like the dead of winter. So I don't want people to think that winter's just now over, because technically winter just started, at least, you know, comparison to the 3-month period. And just a reminder that just because La Nina technically means warmer than normal and drier than normal, it doesn't necessarily mean you won't ever get a cold snap, you know, or you won't ever get a really, really significant warm up.
I wouldn't. You're exactly right. Like, that's not the way winter works. Winter doesn't work where you're constantly below average or you're constantly above. It's usually some sort of combination of the two. Last winter was a La Nina winter as well, and if you remember, we had plenty of cold snaps, especially in January. It was bitterly cold at times, so we still don't find that over the next 7 to 10 days, but, you know, who's to say? I think the middle of January and the end of January, you could have some cold spells. And you know, we're always wondering about the snow question. That's still an unanswered question going through January, February, and March as well. There's still plenty of possibilities on the table. But make us a little smarter here about this snow climatology with New Year's, Brittany. What we got going on?
Well, so what I thought was interesting is that just like Christmas in Charlotte, we've only ever seen measurable snow 4 times since record keeping began in 1878. We've seen a few times where there's been a trace, but I mean, measurable snow only a handful of times in almost 150 years. I just think it's such an interesting stat because I think, especially growing up in the South, you think it snows a lot more than it happens. And when you actually look at the numbers, you see how rare it is. And you would know better than me, Tim, but what was it? It's been like, 10 to 15 years since the last big snowstorm that was Christmas here in the Carolinas. So it's definitely getting rarer and rarer to see those big snows.
What's interesting there is that I noticed 2010 was just listed on that New Year's. That was the year of the Christmas snowstorm across the Carolinas.
Yeah, so that meant that there was either snow on the ground or it snowed again.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, it's wild if you got two of those for both holidays. That's quite something. But yeah, it doesn't snow that often. It's hard to do. What's kind of one of my snow rules? I have these list of snow rules that I like to, they're part joking, but they're part weather wisdom too. Rule number one is it's hard for it to snow in the Carolinas. And the reason is that you need to have the cold air. Our cold air usually comes in from a dry place. The Arctic comes in, it's usually not having any moisture. And when we do get moisture, it usually comes in from the south. Whether that be the Gulf or the Atlantic or anything like that, you're usually bringing it in from a warmer place. So you have to have the cold and the moisture without it being too warm to keep those snowflakes by the time they get to the ground. And that's just a hard thing to do. And I know we got a viewer question here, actually, Brittany. They wanted to know if you could crank up a low-pressure system in the Gulf to bring us a big snowstorm. So do you think you can do that? Are we up for the task in the next couple of weeks?
I will do my best. I think that we need moisture coming in from the Gulf and the Atlantic typically to get those big Miller A's, but you also need the cold air from the Northeast. Here's the deal. There's a little segment called Weather IQ that airs every Wednesday on WCNC Charlotte, and there may or may not be a topic that airs from yours truly tomorrow about why it's so dang hard to get snow in the Carolinas, where we talk a little bit more about this. So I don't want to give too much away because we'll have that for tomorrow. But yes, I will do my best. Personally, I haven't seen a lot of snow since I moved to Charlotte from Florida after growing up in Atlanta, so I'm ready for a big snowstorm. And I missed 2010 because we had already moved to Florida, so I need snow. As long as nobody gets hurt.
It's been a while. It's been a while. For us in Greensboro, we got a real beautiful one in 2018. We got like 13 inches. I think Charlotte only got a couple of inches that time around. But it can happen. It will happen again. And I'll tell you, just from like a stats standpoint, I was digging into this the other day. I haven't made a nice graphic to explain it yet. But January typically, for at least our part of the Piedmont in the Greensboro area, it's our snowiest month. And I know that's a little bit different from Charlotte, but just judging on the data for our area, we have had more snow in the month of January than we have had in any other month throughout history. And not only that, about 2/3 of our Januaries ever have had measurable snow. And about half of them have had more than 2 inches, and about a third of them have had more than 4 inches. So a lot of times we get to this time of year and you'll see all this stuff on social media like, oh my goodness, the long-range models say it might snow in January. And I always kind of brush those off a little bit just to say it usually snows in January. Like, I know we've had bad luck in recent years, but we got snow in January last year. The odds tend to favor us getting at least something, whether they be close calls or minor snow events or even a major snow event. You usually end up getting at least something in the month of January in my part of the Piedmont, and even Charlotte. It's not hard to get. It's not as hard to get snow once you get into January. December is a lot harder.
Yeah, it definitely is. I was trying to see if we had a similar graphic, but honestly, the little text is too tiny for my horrible eyesight. But I do know that our snowiest day, not the snowiest month, is March 2nd.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
And that's just such a quirky stat. Like, that's just, not what you would imagine. The average high temperature is probably way up there on March 2nd. But some of those big blockbuster storms in Carolina history, they've happened pretty late in the season because you can really have a lot of moisture in them at that time of year if you get the cold air to work out. But
yeah, the average
no
high on March 2nd
in the short term
is 60.
Goodness, isn't that wild?
It is. I'm ready for
wild
it.
Stuff. Okay.
And as you remember, back in 1993, a great year, there was the storm of the century. So you just never know. Maybe that could happen. That was a Miller A nor'easter setup. I remember when I did a Weather IQ 2 years ago on nor'easter specifically, so different than the one that's tomorrow. But I was able to get our digital guys to go back and get all of that old video from 93 storm. Got some
cool.
videos, of course,
Right.
of Larry, the one, the only. And it's crazy because,
Awesome.
you know, those storms still happen. It's just a little bit rare to get
Yes.
them in the Carolinas, but they still can happen. So we're talking about trying to get something that's 6 inches, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that we can't have a few more snowstorms like that in our lifetime.
They certainly can happen. They will happen again. Just kind of words of wisdom, like we said, if you are seeing anything on social media over the next couple of weeks, typically anything beyond 7 to 10 days is just total fantasy when it comes to snow. We can't talk specifics that far out. We can assess the weather pattern and say if it looks a little bit more favorable or a little less favorable. But overall, just kind of, temper your excitement or your nerves. If you don't like snow, that's okay too. But anything beyond that range is just kind of what we would call fantasy land. So keep things in check. Usually short range is a little bit more accurate, 3 to 5 days away.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I've even seen things just the last few weeks that have been like that. I also do think it's important to note, and
Yeah.
I have a graphic about this. This is, again, specifically for Charlotte, but people, I feel like after those 3 to 4 Christmas or winters that we had where we didn't see any snow, we're like, oh, we're never going to see
Yeah.
snow again. Like, they were just so flabbergasted it had been so many years because it had just never happened. Although the actual average year totals have gone down. So there was new climate data that came out 1991 to 2020 compared to the 30 years before that. Even though it technically has gone down a bit, that doesn't mean that it's zero. That doesn't mean it's non-existent. But yes, compared to the last 10 years, the averages have certainly been down as well. So just remember that if you are someone like Tim mentioned who loves snow, it's not a 0% chance. But yes, it's gone down over the years. However, these big, I don't even know if I want to say squiggles, but kind of wiggles in the jet stream where we're starting to see them be more dramatic. That's one of the reasons why we're seeing these like big ebbs and flows when it comes to the snowfall events, because I think people here in Charlotte are like, well, what the heck? Like, we got snow in Florida this year. Well, that can happen because those big, strong troughs, big ridges of high pressure can create those crazy differences. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility, even though it does become less likely.
Need a little bit of luck. Last year was bad luck.
Yeah, definitely. The last few years have been kind of bad luck. Okay, well,
true.
Tim,
Yeah.
what we do know is no snow on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And speaking of,
Nope.
I hope to see you tomorrow in a sparkly shirt for the occasion.
We'll be here. We'll see what we can do about the wardrobe.
All right, sounds good. See you same time, same place, same time tomorrow.